From removing glove padding to using illegal steroids.
It was EPO, yes.
And you knew it was EPO that day, correct?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I knew it was something, yeah.
This is the history of cheating in boxing. The year is 1983. An undefeated fighter named Billy Collins faced off against journeyman Luis Resto. The fight took place in the famous Madison Square Garden in New York. This was a big event for Collins, who had dreams of moving up in the boxing world. At the time, Collins was an up-and-coming boxer who wanted this fight to help him reach the top of the middleweight division. He was excited for the chance to prove himself and show everyone what he could do in the ring. Little did Collins know, this fight would turn into one of the most controversial moments in boxing history, as it would change his life in ways he never imagined. What seemed like an opportunity for a big break quickly became a nightmare.
Good right hand.
What happened next was this. Collins was battered and suffered brutal facial injuries.
Comes up with the same pace next couple of rounds. You're going to see an upset tonight.
His face ended up looking like it had been slammed by a runaway bowling ball. I mean, I'm not trying to poke fun here, but facts are facts. That's just how it looked. I guess Resto packed enough heat in those fists to leave Collins with a reminder that boxing is a brutal art form. But was that the real reason Collins lost the fight? Did Resto really win on his own, without any help? It turns out that Resto's trainer, Panama Lewis, did something very sneaky. He had cut out the padding inside Resto's gloves to make them harder. This gave Resto an unfair advantage in the fight. Because of this cheating, the fight was ruled a 10-round no decision. The fight didn't count as a real win for either fighter. Now, look at the hands of Resto. Something definitely seems off, right? If you ask me, Resto was trying to cover up his secret so no one would find out what really happened. It's like he made up a big drama to distract everyone from the truth. That's one way to try to celebrate a win, but it's not the right way. Resto got to take down an opponent who just wanted to fight fairly. Eventually, Resto and Lewis were convicted of serious crimes like assault, conspiracy, and possession of a deadly weapon, according to EastSideBoxing.com. The amazing thing was that they thought they could get away with cheating, but in the end, they faced the consequences. This shows that even if you win by cheating, it doesn't last. Karma has a way of catching up with people who try to take shortcuts. Resto and Lewis were sentenced to prison and banned from boxing for life. As for Collins, his boxing career came to an end, and tragically, he lost his life in a car accident less than a year later. But that's an entirely different story for an entirely different time. It's 1997, and you're excited because Mike Tyson's going to face Evander Holyfield once again. After losing to Holyfield in their first fight, Tyson was desperate. And by that, I mean really desperate. Tyson's desperation reached a whole new level during the fight when he bit Holyfield's ear. He actually took a chunk of his ear off. This shocking moment happened in the third round of their match.
What happened here?
Tyson was getting hit really hard by Holyfield, and he had also been head-butted during the fight. It's easy to see why Tyson might have felt desperate. If you were in his shoes, getting hit like you were some kind of punching bag, you might feel like doing anything to stop it. Or maybe not. So, was it cheating? Yes, it definitely was. Even if some of Tyson's fans try to say it wasn't, we all know that biting someone's ear isn't part of the sport. Holyfield was clearly controlling the fight, and Tyson's actions didn't change that. Tyson may have landed a few good punches, but overall, Holyfield was the one in charge. Tyson's decision to bite his opponent's ear was a desperate attempt to gain an advantage, but it only made the situation worse for him. Referee Mills Lane later disqualified Tyson. Holyfield, on the other hand, was taken to the hospital.
I told him, I said, one more time like that, that's it, you're gone. I told him both. Not
Evander Holyfield was such a view that he could have continued had he not disqualified.
It must have been really disappointing for Holyfield to see his rival resort to such a cheap trick, only to find out later that Tyson was disqualified for it. Fast forward to 2003. Shane Mosley just defeated Oscar De La Hoya via unanimous decision. But did you know that before this fight, Mosley was using the famous steroids, known as the Cream and the Clear? These steroids were a big deal in the world of sports. Mosley admitted to using them in an interview with the New York Daily News in 2007. He explained that his strength and conditioning coach, Daryl Hudson, got the substances from Victor Conte, who was the founder of the notorious Balco Lab. Mosley also said that they were misled about what the substances actually were. Sports Illustrated, or SI.com, also reported that Mosley had used these designer steroids.
It was EPO, yes.
And you knew it was EPO that day, correct?
Yeah, I guess. I knew it was something, yeah.
However, Conte denied misleading the two men. He claimed that he had always been open and transparent with his clients, fully informing them about the substances they were using. I guess when you cheat, that karma immediately goes back to you. Because in 2009, when the fight between Shane Mosley and Antonio Margarito was scheduled, Mosley got cheated on, well, almost. Mosley's trainer, Nazim Richardson, was in Margarito's dressing room to watch as Margarito's hands were being wrapped before the fight. He was there to make sure everything was done correctly, but what he saw was suspicious. While the trainers were wrapping Margarito's hands, Richardson noticed something unusual. It looked like plaster of Paris powder on the wraps. Now, for those who don't know, plaster of Paris is a substance that hardens when it comes into contact with moisture. Since fighters sweat during a match, it could make the gloves much harder and dangerous. Richardson quickly realized that something wasn't right. He suspected that Margarito was planning to fight with gloves that were loaded with something to hurt his opponent more. Richardson immediately spoke up and accused Margarito of using illegal gloves. Because of this, Margarito's hands were re-wrapped, and the fight went on. Mosley took full advantage of the situation and ended up hammering Margarito in the ring. However, in a previous fight, Margarito had been victorious against Miguel Cotto. By the end of the fight, Cotto's face was cut and bruised badly.
Cotto's in big trouble. They're going to wave it off. His uncle had seen enough. Cotto's corner waves it off.
When Cotto learned what Richardson had discovered, he accused Margarito of fighting with loaded gloves. As a result, Margarito was suspended for a year. When they finally had their rematch, Margarito was thoroughly beaten.
The target, Emmanuel, his punches weren't as hard.
No, it was not as hard.
Now, if there's one thing we should learn from this, it's that cheaters never win. So, what are your thoughts on this? Please let me know down below.